Happy Halloween, John.
Scared me.
This is the first time one of our episodes have actually aired on Halloween.
I know. I'm excited. I'm enthralled.
Not as enthralled as I am, because I've got, our buddies here, our guests here.
Those are actually our biggest fans, aren't they?
Yeah. It's Frank, Lloyd, and Wright.
Nice. Right with the W?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
But W-R-I-T-E.
It was the only three words that came to my brain.
Oh. We can think about three others, or we can take some suggestions from our loyal listeners.
No, because they're right here. They won't be.
Well, they might make suggestions.
Yeah, well, they might.
We should just stare at them until they come up with something.
Though they're staring at us. Did you miss me, John? It's been 2 weeks.
I did miss you. I tried to throw something at you, and I totally missed you.
Yeah, well, at this distance, your aim is bound to improve.
It's terrible. It's really bad. Yeah, I don't have the arm I used to have. Yes, it was wonderful to hang out with Bill. It really was. It's always fun to catch up with him.
It was a good episode.
And you know what? We have gotten a lot of offers from, I think, Major League Baseball. They wanted us to do some stuff. And good. And I said no, because you missed me so much. Not without you back. So,
well, I'm willing to produce. I don't have to be. I mean, look at these faces right here. I mean, look at them.
Oh, yours, or I'm talking about us? Oh, okay.
Frank, Lloyd, and Wright.
Nicely done, by the way, with the pencil.
I like that. Well, you guys, I'm sure you can tell me by the way I'm moving, is my screen is actually mirrored.
If you're watching.
Yes. Yeah, if you're watching. So if I point here, I'm thinking that I'm actually pointing here.
That's correct.
But it's weird because I'm watching myself instead of actually pointing where I should point.
Yes,
if that makes sense.
But that's okay.
Yeah,
we are delighted that you're watching yourself.
We have a full skeleton, and his name is George, and I was going to put him in the seat. And then connect a different microphone below and just do the whole podcast like that. But that was going to be a little bit too on the nose.
I think that would be cool. I think you could do that.
I could do that. I'm not going to.
Would you work his jaw, or would you just?
No. Speaking of, have you had a chance to watch the new? And I'm trying to think which platform it's on. I think it's on Hulu. Pretty sure it's on Hulu. But they have a new Goosebumps television show out.
I just saw, Lisa and I just went to a movie this afternoon, because that's what old people do, apparently.
Sure.
And we saw the preview for Goosebumps. And our son, Michael, used to have a bunch of the books and loved them when he was growing up. But they seem a little more real.
It's a little darker. Yeah, darker. I'm not going to lie, but it was good. We watched the whole season, and it was pretty good. And that made me what you said made me think of that.
Yeah,
I dropped my pencil. I'm playing with my pencil.
Yes, we just started watching Reacher.
On
Prime, and I'm sure it's been on for a while. I don't know.
It has.
I'm trying to think where I saw the preview. Oh, I know, it was on YouTube Shorts. Okay. And it just came up, and it's the one. It's where Reacher is in prison with the other guy with glasses on, the wimpy dude, and he got threatened, of course, because they're the new people in prison, and he just proceeded to kick some dude's ass. And
is there a new season out? Because
that was season one.
That was season one. Okay.
Yeah. First episode.
I don't remember that episode.
Oh my gosh.
But I've seen it. I watched the whole season. It was pretty good. And so speaking of, there's one character, have you gotten to the town yet with the female cop? Okay. So the female cop, I don't remember her name, but she is also in the new, The Fall of the House of Usher, which is on Netflix.
Okay.
And she plays one of the younger version of one of the characters. And that was a connection between the two, because she's very, very talented. She's a good actress. So
she really has done a nice job. And of course you can tell from the beginning, she's going to be the love interest of Reacher.
Right.
And anyway, so that.
But we won't ruin it for anybody.
No. But let's just say I wasn't wrong.
But you weren't right.
Not that I'm ruining it.
You weren't wrong, but you weren't right.
Yes.
It goes a lot. I mean, anything with Jack Reacher is going to go a lot deeper than that.
Yeah, I like this guy, the actor, better than I liked Tom Cruise as Reacher.
Well, so according to the books, and I haven't read them, so keep that in mind. But according to the books, he is more in line with what Jack Reacher is supposed to be than Tom Cruise ever was, because he's supposed to be a behemoth of a man.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, Tom Cruise is not.
No, he's a little fella.
He's a little guy.
Yeah. Yeah. He is a tough guy. That whole broken ankle thing and Mission Impossible.
Oh, yeah. I'm not knocking him. I think he did a great job in those movies, but he was not the Jack Reacher. Oh, yeah.
Great in Top Gun and the second one as well. And, but yeah, no, I'm looking at this going, now that's Jack Reacher. Because I can't see Cruise coming off the top bunk in the prison and beating the crap out of one of these big dudes.
Right.
It'd be kind of like that.
Yeah, you are such a. I mean, when you did your impression, I thought you were Tom Cruise. I really did.
I'm sure that's really the only thing, and our bank accounts probably the only thing separating me from Tom Cruise.
From being Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Well, he's got some really good lookalikes out there. I'm sure their bank accounts are still not quite as stout, but not too bad.
Yeah,
get a lot of face
stout, but it might not be as stout as we think, just because of the whole Scientology thing.
Maybe that's true. That's true.
That can be kind of expensive, from what I understand. Yeah,
you can only afford 2 or 3 jets instead of 10.
See, they do own the entire town of Clearwater, though, from what I understand too.
Really? Interesting.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I hear. Anyway, Lisa's way more
Scientologist
of that.
Oh.
No. She just is aware of it, watching the Lee Remini series. And I think that's on Prime.
Who's her dad again? Her dad is
Who's
famous.
your daddy?
No, Leah Remini.
Oh, I don't know. Why don't you do a little search? I can do a search.
He's a singer.
He's a singer, Tony Bennett, who I know it's not that. Who is Leah?
I'm getting there.
Dad.
Do.
Who is George Remini? Oh, okay. Well, that does it.
Oh, am I thinking of someone else?
I don't know. You might be.
Might be thinking of someone else. It doesn't have her dad's name in there, does it?
His name is George.
Oh, okay.
Or his name. Yeah, his name is George.
Never mind.
George
I'm thinking of someone else.
Anthony was the father of actress and former member Leah Remini. Yeah. Blah, blah, blah.
Okay, there was someone else. There was someone else that.
So what you're saying is there's an actress who has a father who's a famous singer?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that narrows it down.
But I thought it was Leah Remini.
This probably won't take more than.
No. So I was wrong.
I won't say you were wrong. I'm sure it's true. There's an actress with a famous singing
there was
father.
some other. Okay, so the reason I thought of it is this particular actress. There's some other scandal. But there's something other that was similar to Scientology. Obviously, it wasn't Scientology, but it was similar. She was a whistleblower on something, and she's got a big name, but her dad is someone else famous.
Oh, okay.
So
there's a lot of that out there, really. Jennifer Aniston's folks, both of them,
which you wouldn't really know.
No, John Aniston, I guess.
Yeah, famous cinematographer or something like that.
Something, but in the business,
right?
Anyway, so I did not know that, but
Robert Downey Jr. is another example.
I just saw a clip of him giving a speech at the behest of
someone who did something at some point.
Else, yes. Crap, I can't think of it now. Anyway, just a well-spoken guy, and he's finally clean after many, many years, and just a very cool speech, and he's very
he's got a lot of good stories and a lot of good stuff.
Oh my gosh, and a really good actor too. You can't take that away from him. But
I'm really impressed with how he gets his lines, because he doesn't memorize them. He's got an earwig.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, and his assistant is reading him his lines and he could just and you couldn't tell.
Yeah.
I'm really impressed by that. There have been, I don't remember what I was watching. It was probably a YouTube thing where they were talking about different actors and their methods. And his was the earwig. Some can just read a script once and memorize it. Others, they have to do it in blocks, and they do this and how their whole process. And it's just fascinating to me.
Have you ever, IED, I can't remember what they call them. I was doing a thing for one of our clients, and I was on camera. And I had actually recorded, they did not have a teleprompter budgeted for this thing. So I recorded all the lines myself.
Okay.
Me recording in my ear, and I followed myself delivering the lines. No, I had never done it. I had no idea what the heck I was doing.
But did it work?
It did. And I was kind of surprised by that. At first I don't know if this,
at first you were afraid. You were petrified.
I was scared, yes. I'm used to reading a teleprompter, which is easy enough to do when you
for some
practice it. Right. For me, it's pretty easy. But
I'm not a great teleprompter person.
No, why not?
No, I read too far ahead.
Well, that is one of the secrets, is getting back in the day when you couldn't do it yourself. When you had teleprompter operators actually running the machine. That is critical, is getting somebody who does it well, and somebody who
there's the thing,
will go at the right speed.
You really have to read the whole word. Most people, when they read, they don't read the whole word after a while. They read the beginning, and that's where I get mixed up.
Well, if you're reading to yourself,
right. But it's a practice thing. Even if you're not well versed in it, and that's how you read, that's how you'll read the teleprompter, and you're going to mess yourself up because you're reading faster than you're speaking.
Okay.
And that's where I always got messed up. Because I would either get to too far down, or I would screw up a word because when you're reading and you read part of a word and it's like, that doesn't make sense. You go back in the sentence and you read it again and go, okay, that's how I messed up.
Yeah.
You can't do that when you're speaking, when you're doing a teleprompter.
No, and you're right about that. You have to read. I always have to read it through once or twice before I do it.
Yep.
And when I'm usually the one who writes the teleprompter script for myself.
Yes.
So I will enter it in my own words, so it's not going to be awkward for me to use somebody else's words as we go through it. But it's
nice when you have that, but I've been in places where you have a producer write it for you because you're off doing other things, and then you get in front of the camera and you're like, okay, let's go. Nope, that ain't gonna work.
No, because you me being specific about how it's going to write and how it's going to read, and if I've got to fix it before I start. And I used to have to do that sometimes too. So I'll need the extra
sometimes
half an
you
hour
don't
to fix it.
Right. And sometimes you don't have that. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's true. Unless you build it in, unless you demand it. And,
well, I know you've got that leverage that you can do that. It's built in right into your contract. It is
in my contract, right next to the M&Ms.
Right,
the
exactly.
M&Ms. Yeah, in the green room.
Blue M&Ms, only blue.
Only blue, yes. Because I don't want any of those. Just pink M&Ms. They don't make them except on
Pink Days, on October.
No, Valentine's
Pink
Day.
is October. Pink is, they also make it for breast cancer awareness.
For breast cancer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did I ever tell you the story of I know I might have told you, but I don't know if I told our listeners, the story of when I was an intern for a certain company that did special events, and my division was booking music or entertainment in general, concerts for special events. So we would book the big name bands, and they'd come in and they'd do these. I don't know. There might be some people that don't realize that some of your favorite artists actually play at parties. They still do that. They get paid a lot of money to do that. The bigger you are, the more you get paid. And we're talking, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yep.
And every single one of those events comes with a contract and a rider to that contract. Blue M&Ms is a perfect example. That's built into the rider. And sometimes the rider is the same as when you go perform at a concert in the stadium versus a special event. Sometimes it's a little bit different depending on the size of the venue. But I was working one of those, and I'm not going to name the band. Fantastic band. Everyone would know them. Big band. Mm-hmm. Some of the guys just died, or one of the guys just died recently. But anyway, built into their rider was they had to have a certain 3 certain bottles of champagne. One brand, 3 bottles.
Okay. Cristal.
My job, more expensive than Cristal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
I, as the intern, was in charge of going to get those bottles. And these bottles were so expensive that each place and I was living in St. Louis at the time, each place in St. Louis, each liquor store only had 1 bottle. So I had to go to 3 different liquor stores to pick up these bottles in a snowstorm.
Wow.
Because they didn't cancel the event. And not a Minnesota or Wisconsin snowstorm, a St. Louis snowstorm, but a snowstorm where people do not know how to drive. So I had to go around to 3 different parts of St. Louis to pick up these bottles to put in the green room, in the dressing rooms for these artists.
Wow.
So I do that, and I go and I get them, and I get there barely get back on time because of the traffic. Set them in the room, get ready to go. You know what these artists didn't do the entire 3 or 4 hours they were there?
Drink any of the champagne.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Which often goes, that just goes with everything. I mean, that is pretty common. They asked for a rider.
What happens to it then?
We got to drink it.
I knew that. I knew that.
There are definitely perks, but still, it goes all the. I mean, it happens all the time. I mean, things go untouched. It's just because it's built in the rider, and sometimes they just forget about it. Forget that it's even there.
Yeah. So you said, well, you got to tell me then what was the brand of champagne?
I don't remember. This was back in
like a Dom Perignon.
I don't remember. It was something I had never heard of.
Oh, okay. Well, because
but it was not cheap.
Cristal is $3.50 a bottle. I'm not sure what liquor stores would have.
No, it was early 2000s. I would say 2000, 2001. So take it with a grain of salt with inflation, but the bottles were about $450.
Ooh, holy crap.
Yeah.
And they had them in stock at liquor. I mean, only one.
And 3 different places.
Wow,
and
that blows me away.
I was lucky I didn't have to do the calling around for it. That was someone else. I just had to go pick them up. So I wish I could tell you. There's still a pain in the butt. But one of the reasons was I was driving a Jeep. So I had 4-wheel drive.
Awesome.
Yeah. No one else had 4-wheel drive. My boss drove a 1970-something Jaguar convertible.
Jaguar?
Jaguar. Yeah, Jaguar.
There you are. What a Jaguar.
What a Jaguar. Nice. Yeah, so he couldn't get around very well.
No. Yeah. And he drove it in the snow too?
I think someone... you know what? It was at the Ritz. He might have driven it to the Ritz, but he definitely didn't drive it home.
Yeah. Nice.
I might have given him a ride home. I don't remember. That was over 20 years ago. And that too, yeah.
Yeah, we had champagne.
Yeah.
Boy, that's a good way to get spoiled on champagne. We had, I think it was, what anniversary? Our 20th anniversary. Well, I had been saving a bottle of Dom Perignon. And at that time, and years ago, obviously, it was $120 and stupid expensive for my budget. But I thought it would be nice for a special occasion. So we kept it and cracked it open. And I think I've told you this, but I was so gratified that it was delicious. Because you wonder about that. You go, okay, this stuff is $120. Can it really be that much better than a $50 bottle of, something
Dom
else?
Is.
Oh my gosh, it was delicious.
Yeah.
So
I feel the same way
downside,
about
you got
Opus.
spoiled.
Yeah.
Well, and that's just it for a nice wine like that. That's incredible.
But it shouldn't be, because Opus is a blend. Opus is not one varietal, and it's a blend of 2 different vineyards. It's not even off of their own vineyard.
Well, and that's the same with Cake Bread. Cake Bread has one of the most expensive Shiraz or whatever they call Syrah. I'm not sure which one they call it.
Well, Syrah.
It's the same.
It's the
one
same,
of them
but
is
it's where
Australian.
it's grown. Exactly.
Yeah. But anyway, they never use their own I shouldn't say that. They use from multiple vineyards.
Right. Okay.
But they have the blend just so perfectly.
So Cakebread is a good example. Opus is also a good example. Opus is actually owned by Mondavi and also someone else, but I don't remember the other name.
Yep.
So it's two vineyards that actually own Opus together.
Cool.
And that's where they blend their wine. So it's still a very controlled. It's not like they're pulling wine from a bunch of different people and blending it. And it's Cakebread is the same way. It is a collab. Call it a collaboration.
Yeah. That's
so speaking of collaboration, we're going to take we're going down a different road.
Here we go.
We just had a fantastic business collaboration here in our little community where we partnered up with the Bellevue Farmers Market. So last year, I think you remember Jen had a booth at the farmers market, and it didn't really pan out for us, but still had a good relationship with the farmers market planners, the guy who runs it basically. And she said, hey, what would you think about us doing trunk or treat? Because we don't have a place to do trunk or treat anymore. What would you think about us doing trunk or treat at the farmers market? And he thought that was a great idea. So they did marketing on their own and brought it all together. And man, it was incredible. Let me see if I can pull up a picture while we're talking.
Nice. Yeah.
We had a great turnout, a lot of people for both the farmers market and for the trunk or treat. So I don't know if you can see this, but do you see the number of people there? Yeah.
Wow.
It was incredible.
That's awesome.
So they did a little performance. That's the picture of the performance, but yeah. So we had 8 or 9 people come to do the trunk, to their own trunks. So nice. I had the Jeep on one side and Jen had her car on the other, and we put our tent up in the middle. Our farmers market tent, not
What do they call that? It's a
pop-up tent
thing. Yeah.
And we had and they advertised the business, and we got a whole bunch of people to sign up, or not sign up for free classes, but take the free. So she was giving away a free class and giving away a gift card, and we got a lot of people that signed up for the raffle for the gift card. So it was really, really good. And like I said, a lot of people.
When is the farmers market? When do they
farmers market is Thursday nights.
Thursday nights. Got it.
Yep.
Very cool. And so much fun. And I'm sure you get great traffic there just in general. It's wonderful there's so many there's just so much fun stuff to see there.
Yep.
As opposed to, just knocking on shop doors and things like that.
Exactly.
Nothing wrong with that. I mean, keep the money local, but I just love the idea of real farmers.
Yep.
Coming in.
I wish I had a full. Oh yeah, I wish I had a full picture, because Jen was one of the Sanderson sisters, and 2 of her employees were the other 2 Sanderson sisters. But here's a picture of Peyton and Jen together. Oops, this way.
Oh, that's awesome.
So Jen was married.
Oh my gosh.
And I have a picture of all 3 teachers, but it's not on this phone. So
that's great.
And then Peyton is a game character. It's also Five Nights at Freddy's, Five Nights at Freddy's.
Okay.
Which is it's a cartoon, it's a game, it's a whole bunch of stuff, but they have a movie coming out now. It's a horror movie.
That's awesome. Yeah. You're going to have to keep me abreast of all that stuff, since I don't have any young kids.
Yeah, no, I won't.
Well, at least you know who it is. I have no clue.
Well, I don't. If you were to ask me, I wouldn't know. I just know because Peyton wanted to do that character,
and she told you, and that's great.
Yep.
So
I'm just proud of how you get the costume together. She put it together completely from scratch.
Wow,
I mean, there is no costume built for that. So she got the wig, she painted the wig, she painted her nails.
Wow.
She got the they were red pants, and she cut the pants, and the shirt was she cut the shirt. So she did all the work herself.
Yay, Peyton. Nice job. Yeah. That's awesome. I like that creativity.
Me too.
Yeah.
So that was fun and
cool.
And like I said, really good. But
that is awesome. And
that's the end
crowd.
of the podcast, folks, because I have
we've got nothing else. We always have more.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's I have a BA and BS, so
yes. And you know that statistic about statistics.
Yeah. 97% of all statistics are made up on the spot, my friend. Or is it 96?
I heard last time it was 98, but
98. Oh wow.
Yeah, I know. I started making up a few more, and so I think that's where
So you increased the number just a little bit.
I probably did, yeah.
You're so talented.
No, I lie a lot. So you and I were talking before we got on the air about something I think we should touch on is the whole EV thing.
Yes.
And just because I think it's appropriate, first of all, because you own a hybrid.
I do.
And I own an ICE vehicle and a Harley.
Yep. I own another ICE vehicle as well. So
yes, that's true. So it's just kind of an interesting thing because I was just quoting an article that just came out, and it has to do with the U.S. automakers pulling back a little on. I'm getting a lot of spam email or texts lately. Pulling back on their production.
Yes.
Just because of a low demand.
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting to me because that jump, and you pointed this out, Nick, very astutely, the jump from hybrids. And I think, and I said to you, the Chevy Volt, which was like one of the first gasoline electric or gasoline battery hybrids. And then they dumped it. And I never really understood why, because just for our listeners, the combination of those things, when it was, you could run on electricity and then you could run electricity and then the gasoline would back it up. Right. And it's kind of a similar principle to what your Jeep is, 4x4E, right?
4xe.
4xe, that's it. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure how I would get that mixed up. But that's kind of been pushed to the side, with the exception of some of the Priuses. Yeah. And Toyota's been kind of pushing back too, for that very reason, that they can make 19 Priuses for what it costs them to make one EV, is the number that they identified. So they feel that it's better for the environment not to go all EV, but rather have it as sort of an option.
Well, an option too, but let's think about this in a more abstract way. If you're trying to convince a business owner as a consultant, as a business consultant, if you're trying to convince a business consultant to do something, you're not telling them to do it cold turkey. You're telling them from a change management perspective. You're teaching them how to ease into it. We're telling people, or I'm just going to say it flat out, the government is telling people to go cold turkey. That doesn't work. That's not the psychological way people work. That is antithetical to change management. If you really want to make that change and you want to go a certain direction, you need to ease people into it. And hybrids technically should be that easement into a full EV.
Yes.
I don't want to go full EV. I see no benefit in it for me, because I can already tell you the infrastructure for what I have isn't robust enough. And my EV goes 24 miles before it runs out of battery, and then I'm on gas. I definitely could not function, because even in that round area, let's say 25 miles, if I go 25 miles, there isn't a charger there for me to plug in. And I don't care it's great for me to scoot around town, but I can tell you exactly where every single charger is in my little area. And there are maybe two.
Yeah.
Two charging areas. Hey, you see that?
You accidentally did that. Yes, I know.
That was great.
Nicely
I did
done.
this on a call earlier because I was very happy with the outcome. Yeah, I forgot that was even on.
That's so funny. I love that.
Anyway, so I wish they had a Halloween one. That would be
me
excellent. Too. Anyway, so when I say there's two, I mean there's two locations, and one has one charger and the other one has two chargers. And so the best part is I don't go to either of those places, so I can't charge.
What percentage of the time do you charge at home?
I would say 99% of the time.
Okay, so because it doesn't make sense. Well, you know what? I need to drive 35 miles, so I'm going to drive 10 miles to the first charge up to 98%, and then drive the other, and then come back and do the 10. And it's just not going to happen because it is a relatively hybrid small range.
Yeah.
But even on vehicles that have a purported long range, 300 miles or something like that, it still isn't really 300 miles if the temperature is too low, for example, or if you're towing something, or if it just changes the dynamic of all of it.
Yeah.
And
so
it adds an extra stop to most trips. If you're planning like a camping trip or whatever, it adds an extra stop or two to come home, depending upon how far away you're going.
Yeah. I was down in your neck of the woods last week, and I went to National, which is where I usually rent a car from. And I walk up, and I'm an executive. I have executive tier, so I could just walk and pick a car. I was walking, and as very few people do now, there was an attendant there, and he's like, "Hello." And I'm like, "Hi, how you doing?" He's like, "I'm great." And like, he was surprised that I even talked to him.
Right.
And he's like, would you like to try a fully electric vehicle today? And I'm like, sure, why not? So I got the fully electric Volvo.
Do you have to bring it back full?
No, you do not. That's the best part. That was the first question I asked. Yeah. That was the very first question I asked. He's like, "No, sir, you don't have to do that." I'm like, "Fantastic. I'll take it." It was fully charged. I had 240.
What was it again? I'm sorry. A Volvo. Sorry.
Yeah. Yep. It had 240 miles of range. It was fully charged. I drove it to, I didn't even drive. No, I'm sorry. It had 260 miles of range. I drove it to the hotel and parked it. And when I got there, I had 240 miles, but it was 80 degrees when I got there.
Okay.
It sat for a day, and then I picked it up the next day to drive it back to the airport. And there were some other things that I'd like to talk about with that, which I find very interesting. But just range-wise, when I got into it, and I know for a fact that they didn't, the valet didn't take it anywhere. But I know for a fact the temperature when I left was about 60 degrees, something like that. Or it had been that morning, but it was not as warm as the day I got there. And when I got in the car, it only had 200 miles left.
Oh.
But when I got to the airport, which was about 20 miles away, I still had about 190 miles left on the charge. So, I mean, it's not consistent, and it's not, you can't predict it. That was really my point. I when I saw, I still have 240 miles, I'm good. And then when I got in, I'm missing 40 miles now.
Yeah.
And I know it. Yeah. So it's not predictable. And that's the other worst part. Unless you're charging it every time. Like I know when I get home, when I leave in the morning, my Jeep's going to have 25 miles.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know that. But that's not the case everywhere. Like if I drive it to work or when I drive it to the airport, that's a really good example. So the only other place I normally charge is when I go to the airport. If a charging bay is open. So I know when I pull in and I can get charged that when I leave the airport, I've got 25 miles of battery that I can use.
Sure.
But if I don't, or if I can't charge because all of them are full, then now I know I'm not going to have that. I'm going to have whatever's left on the battery when I get there, which is usually zero.
Yeah, I find it interesting because I've seen them at airports where, in the parking garage, somebody is plugged in. And I'm wondering, are those people gone for a week?
Yes.
And if so, it's plugged in for the entire week. And you go, I know it max charged the first day.
Yeah.
So for the remaining 4 days, if it's a typical business trip, nobody else can access that.
Right. And the worst part is at our particular airport, nobody can access it. So in a perfect world, you could unplug and plug in a car next to it. But at our airport, it is assigned to that one space.
One spot. Yeah, period. Most of them are. Most of them are that I've seen. Yeah.
Not all of them. So I was at a hotel in St. Louis where you could take it and move it if you wanted to.
Yeah, but it seems to be airport specific. The airports I've been to, they all seem to have one charger, one spot. Well, then they go, it's hardly costing us anything. Well, that's been full for 4 days.
That's exactly it.
So I wonder about that.
I think, and that's a good point. I think there needs to be some sort of rule or some sort of something. And I don't know what the answer is, but that's the other thing. So the parking garage that I park in has I think around 1,200 parking spaces.
Okay.
There are 8, 16, 36 EV parking spots.
Okay, that's still
36
pretty
chargers.
Pretty
It's stout,
good.
but out of 1,200 parking spots,
Yeah, I know.
and they're always full.
The only other thing I could think of would be, and that's the problem, because you have to figure, is there enough power at a given time to handle, 36 spots, how many of those 36 at any given time are actually charging? That's what I'd like to know.
So, we've talked about this on the podcast before. That's the other annoying part is I don't understand it, because these particular spots, and then I'm only talking about the Nashville airport. It's in the middle of the parking garage. Yeah. It's not closer to the terminal.
Sure.
It's not prime real estate. I think they did it right in that regard. But there are still EV drivers who will pull into that spot and not plug in.
Oh.
So that's what I'm saying. There needs to be some sort of rule, whether it's, if your trip is longer than X, Y, and Z, you can't park here.
Yeah.
If you park here, you have to plug in.
Yeah. I don't know how that would all work. Although I'm just trying to think it through as you're talking about it, that it's, I'm getting more. I know you mentioned that before, but I'm understanding it more now. I guess what I question is, at any given time, those 36 spots, if all 36 are charging simultaneously, I'm not sure the system can handle it.
Yeah.
So I think they count on a penetration of maybe 25% charging at any given time.
Yeah, maybe.
So that's 9 at any given time. But more than that, it's going to pull back on the charge capacity.
I would say yes. Well, I can tell you that it does. If everyone's plugged in, so I usually drive in on Monday morning, which is where the bulk of people will drive in.
Sure.
Because when I get there, if I get there on a Tuesday, everything's full. Always.
Out of those 36 on Monday morning, how many are open?
2 on every floor. 2 on every floor. Yeah.
Wow.
So 2, 4, 6, 8 maybe. Yeah.
Gosh,
but let's
crazy.
If you're talking about capacity and power, they're not hurting for the bills. Let's say, so it's $28.
No, I'm not talking about the bill. I'm not talking about the money. I'm talking about the capacity, the ability to charge them. Because they have limiting factors.
They do. They make over $33,000 a day just in parking fees.
Yeah.
And they're almost always full.
They all are. Go to any same with Fort Myers, and the same when I fly out at Sarasota.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's ridiculous.
But good for them. People are paying.
But with the reason I bring that up is they're still building, so they still have a lot more power resources. And they're also pulling the majority of their power from the hydro dam that's right next door.
Yeah, but they're still paying for it. It's still infrastructure that demand.
But they're making money on it. Is kind of my point.
I'm sure. Not about the money. I'm just wondering if they have the capacity, the electric capacity, to do all 36 at once. And my bet would be no.
I would bet that they would struggle. I think it would just slow things down, because I said,
if they're all empty on a Monday morning and then they all get full with cars that all need to be charged.
Yeah. And that's my point, because I used to be able to, when I first got the Jeep, I could monitor it while I was sitting in the airport.
Yep.
Mine when it's empty, it takes 2 hours on a level 2 charger to charge.
Okay. Which is nothing.
It's nothing. Tesla, on a level 2 charger, I think should take depending on the size, but let's say roughly 8 hours to charge.
Okay.
8 to 10 hours.
Wow.
It takes me 12 hours on my home charger, but 2 hours. And so I've driven in when there's very few cars there and then watched it. And the longest it's ever taken is 3 hours on a level 2 charger. Okay. And that's a Monday morning with everyone driving in. So it does tax it, but I wouldn't say it's too terribly much. And plus, you're not going to be there most people are going to be gone for a minimum of 24 hours.
Oh, for
Very few are going to be gone, or going to fly out and come back the same day. Right.
But that's my point, is that they're never actually charging all at once. They're never charging all at once. Because when people get to max charge on their vehicles, it's not like it's going to continue charging. It's just like plugging in a phone. Same thing. It doesn't keep charging after you get to the max.
So here's the possible solution to all of this. There are actually robots that exist today that are battery packed. So they charge, then they're fully charged, and then they can be deployed to an EV, plug in, charge that EV. When it's full, they unplug and go back to their charger. That is the solution, I think, to all of this, because then it doesn't matter where you park. You park there, you can use an app saying, hey, I'm here, open up your port, and then the robot can come charge you. And they don't even have to do it right away. They can come and charge you. Let's say it takes 2 hours for them to charge. They can know when your flight's coming back, go out 2 hours early, plug in, charge you up, and unplug and go.
Yeah. They need the next thing coming up then will be proximity charging. So you don't even have to plug in. They just stand next to it.
I mean, we're already doing that with our phones. Look, I have the case on my phone to be able to do that. The MagSafe.
Yeah, I have mine back here, which is too short cord, so never mind. But it's there. Yeah.
There could be a plate under the car. It can detect if it's an EV and needs charging and can charge it like that.
Yep.
There's so many different things that we can do. It's just ridiculous we haven't. One, it's ridiculous we haven't done it. Two, I know. Look at that. I got my. Two, there's a reason. I know the reason is because we don't know that. It would also solve another problem, which is what a lot of vehicles are going to right now, which I don't know what Jeep's doing. I haven't looked it up. I have it on my list of things to research, but they're going to a standard port and a standard plug.
Yes,
and it's going to be Tesla. Yes. So that whatever Tesla uses is what they're going to be. So now we all have to do the transition or get an adapter. So that's going to cause some issues. But at the same time, if they got rid of those period and did some sort of wireless charging, that's the answer.
If we can think about it, they can do it. I mean, it can be done.
Exactly.
It's not like it's not. We don't have the technology for it. The question, though, then comes back to not so much the charging, but the demand. And the demand needs to be organic, and we have not allowed it to be organic.
We have not. And sadly, part of that reason, I think, is the infrastructure. Because, like I said, I told you, if it weren't for the tax incentive, I probably wouldn't have bought it, even a hybrid. It doesn't do enough for me. But there's also the infrastructure need that we don't have the infrastructure. And I'm not even. Let's put the ability to charge cars to the side. Even if we had unlimited energy, we had no problem servicing it. You used California as an example. Their grid just can't handle it. Let's ignore that. Let's just ignore that completely. We don't have enough places to charge. And let's say that 100% of our vehicles were electric. We could not, just from an infrastructure for people to plug in, we couldn't support it.
That's
my point to the airport thing.
Look at the number, though. Let's just say, forget 100%. Say 20%. We still couldn't do it.
We can't.
Well, we still couldn't do it.
That's not even just that's talking purely power. I'm saying if we had unlimited power and it didn't matter how much power we use, we don't have things built. We don't have gas stations. We don't have power stations like gas stations.
Got it. We have some, but then watch the lines go for tens of miles, and it's just not going to work that way. However, I do think it's funny that I think rental car companies, it makes perfect sense unless somebody's going to go over a border, go for a longer trip or something like that. But I love the idea that you don't have to return it full.
Oh God, that was great.
Because what a pain in the ass that is, no matter where you are.
Especially if you don't know the area. It's kind of like when I fly into Dallas, I know exactly where the gas station is before, and I hit it every single time, and it's not an issue. I've got it down. But if you're driving in, there was an airport recently. Where was I? Kansas City. I was going into Kansas City. I've been to that airport a number of times, but I've never actually driven to that airport. I've done it twice now, but I didn't know where the gas station was.
Yep.
I had no idea. And that made me really nervous.
You can do a Google search or whatever, but it's on the fly, and it's something you have to do purposefully. And it's like, whatever, at some point, I burned 1.5 gallons. Fine, I'll just handle it. But it just makes me mad that you still got to jump through those hoops. California is always, especially LAX. I mean, there are gas stations everywhere there, so it's no big deal. Last
time I flew into LA, I flew into
John Wayne.
John Wayne, thank you.
Santa Ana.
You remember? I flew into John Wayne, and there's gas stations everywhere, but it's not easy.
Because and it's $7 a gallon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because they know their market.
Oh, buddy. Yeah. We'll teach you
that gas station.
You need to get an electric vehicle.
Yeah.
Then it won't be $7 a gallon, but you will be in that line for 3 hours. So sorry.
Yeah. And you know what? So I wanted to tell you more about that Volvo. It was interesting because I've been hearing a lot of electric vehicles going to the one pedal drive. And what a one pedal drive doesn't necessarily mean you don't have brakes. It just means that there's a braking system built into that one pedal. So you have to learn that you can't take your foot off the gas pedal fully.
Yeah.
Because then you're going to stop because you're braking. And it's going to put you forward in the seat. So you have to learn how to do that. Exactly. Yeah. And there's a big learning curve because I was nervous, even though I figured it out at the end. I was nervous when I was in traffic because that's
kind of like a plane to a degree. That's where you would get that. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. You have to be very careful because if I had to brake quickly, if I pull my foot off the gas, I'm already braking. And then you've got to put your foot on the brake to brake even harder. And it's a weird feeling after, how many years? Over 20 years that I've been driving. I've been driving a certain way. Yeah. And it's just hard to get to change that. And I think a lot of people would have difficulty doing that as well.
That's what the 85-year-old ladies here in Florida say.
So many accidents.
They say that all the time.
Yeah.
I've been driving for 70 years and I've always done it this way. Cutting across 4 lanes of traffic. And all right. Well, super.
Exactly.
We just want to stay home now.
Yep. I always want to stay home. I don't want to go out, period.
Oh my gosh, no doubt. We're homebodies. It's the PoddiMouths Homebody Show.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Well, if we were truly homebodies and able to do it, there'd be a lot more PoddiMouths episodes out every week.
We'd be doing them all the time.
We'd probably be making money. Would that make
our wives happy? We might be making money, but who wants that?
Yeah.
That's just more taxes we'd have to pay.
Yeah. Speaking of, I have a video I need to share with you later.
Okay.
I'm going to leave everyone
let's do that as an aside. Don't tell them.
Don't tell anyone. Yeah. You got to do it like this, John. Don't tell anyone. Put it in front of the microphone.
Yes. Yeah. I can't bear to look. It's like that.
Yeah. Anyway, I've got a video to share with you. We'll probably share it with our listeners at some point.
Good.
But
is it naughty? It's not naughty.
No, it's not naughty. But I would recommend anyone that uses Canva to go ahead and experiment with their new AI that they have plugged in.
Cool.
It worked really well with the video I stitched together that I'm going to show John when we're off the air, awesome. Which is right now, folks. So
you should just do a right now. Click.
I might do that in editing. I might do that in post.
We're off the air right now.
But if I didn't do that already, head up to PoddiMouths.com, check out all of our past episodes and all that good poop and merch store and all that fun stuff. And John and I will return back here, same bat time, same bat channel, when it's not Halloween. Happy Halloween, everyone. I hope you enjoy. It is my favorite holiday. Yes, I am one of those.
Reese's Peanut Butter Cups.
No. Milk Duds.
Yes.
Milk Duds.
Oh, they're all right. How about the malted, the milk? What is it, the malted milk balls? What are they called?
Malted milk balls are good. Those are Whoppers. But I got
Whoppers,
these. I got some Bit-O Honey here.
Oh, Bit-O Honey.
I love Bit-O Honey.
Those are good. They're very good. Will stick to your teeth.
Yeah, I'm going to put one in my mouth right now because I need to shut up so we can, say, see everybody. Have a great week.
Well, I have some shit to say now because Nick, finally, this is how you get him to be quiet.
Bye, John. Bye.
See ya.